Hi, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk Chicago. Great to see all of you here with us across our great TV and radio affiliates across Illinois and Indiana. 98.3 The Live, WKAN, 105.5 The Ticket, ACTV, Jet TV, WJOB, and Cities 92.9 Talk FM. My name's Jon Zaghloul. John Meadows is here directing and producing. Follow us all over at Sports Talk Chicago. Subscribe to the YouTube page and hit the like button on this video. We would really appreciate it. We have a huge guest joining us here for a couple of segments. We have so much to talk with him about, tons of Bear stuff, even some Baseball Hall of Fame stuff. I know Mark loves that topic as well. He is the Bears beat reporter for the Chicago Sun-Times. He's a 30-plus year sports media veteran right here in Chicago. Please welcome good friend of the program, Mark Potash, to the show. Mark, it's great to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing great, John. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you here. End of the season. I know we have more time to catch up, which is great because we have a lot to talk about Bears-wise. I'll start with this. What do you make of the Bears season?
Well, it was a step in the right direction. It accomplished what they wanted to do in one respect, and that they had the arrow pointing up at the end of the season. There was they were a little shaky as far as on the coaching staff, and a little more uncertainty there than I probably expected or probably would have expected. And did not surprise me that we did not get a decision on Justin Fields. Just the way things go on offense in Chicago. That was just the disappointment. It was that they did not take the step. They took a step. They didn't take the step they needed to, and that's why there's a new OC in town. So, all in all, relative to other Bears seasons, I think it was actually a positive one. I've always said, or I've been saying, that I've covered the Bears and watched the Bears for a long time, and of all their non-playoff seasons, this is the best I've felt about a Bears team heading into the next year. When you consider how well they played at the end of the year, how set they seem to be on defense, and with having the number 1 pick and the number 9 pick in a draft with a potential generational talent at quarterback, for a team that did not make the playoffs, the Bears have been in far worse shape.
A potential generational type quarterback. So does that mean you're leaning towards the Bears drafting Caleb Williams? Is that what they should do? Do you have any insights on it?
Well, I don't know. People ask that all the time, and I say the same thing, is that, we know what Caleb Williams is on tape, but we really don't know him. And only the Bears, for Chicago, from our standpoint, media fans, Bears, only Ryan Poles gets to really sit in a room and look at that kid in the eye and find out what he's all about. And I think we've seen, especially with the Chiefs, and now, the it factor is huge. I'm big on that. And I think that's really what you're looking for. That's why you draft a guy like Caleb Williams over a somewhat known commodity and proven commodity in Justin Fields, is because you're getting that extra. You're getting the it factor, not just a better quarterback, but somebody who can rise to the occasion, who can make his teammates better, who can, will a team to victory in big games. And we don't get to see that, frankly. All we know is what we see in these highlights and on these little clips on Twitter, him crying, his dad, this and that. That's all outside stuff. We need the inside stuff to really know if they should. I'm not trying to dodge the question. I'm just saying that there's a huge element that we don't know about, that we have to know about, and that only they get to see. And that's why I thought it was important at the season-ending press conference when Ryan Poles said that where he made the decision last year in March, he'll almost certainly go until April before he figures out what to do, because it's funny. We've said this many times, he said he had to be blown away last year, and and I think he knows he never really gave himself a chance to be blown away. He's going to give himself a chance to be blown away this year. And that's the smart thing to do. So I guess my answer is, I don't know. I think that's what they're going to end up doing, because I think he's going to be really good. I think he's well coached and well managed. And just athletes in this day and age, they are raised to kind of handle these situations. And whether it's true or not, I think he will answer all the questions correctly. And I think the Bears will be in a situation where, hey, they just got to take a chance on a guy who has a much higher ceiling and offers some other advantages like a rookie contract and things like that, and not having to refix him, with with a new coordinator, like they'll have to do a little bit with Shane Waldron and Justin Fields. So I think ultimately they will is even though that the price will be, the haul will be immense for that pick, the offers. I still think they're going to end up taking Caleb Williams with the first pick. That's the way I see it playing out.
You mentioned a great point about Williams and his ability to lead teams to victory, something that Justin Fields has struggled with during his 3 years here in Chicago. Is that going to be, in your opinion, the main reason why the Bears move on from Fields, or are there other factors that you think put Fields at a disadvantage right now?
Well, I just don't think Fields has been enough of a quarterback, I guess. I mean, he has all the physical tools, and he can functionally play the position. He's very good. When he's on, and unfortunately, most of that has been against teams that he can really take advantage of, and not really playoff caliber teams. But he just hasn't been enough of a quarterback. I'm talking about a guy who can read defenses and who can manipulate defenses and who can and step up and make big throws. One thing that we've seen in these playoffs, we see it again and again, is just how darn accurate Patrick Mahomes is when he needs to be. Not just overall. You can look at the analytics and say we complete a certain amount of pass. Look at that game last week. They needed a hot start against the Ravens. That's absolutely what they need. They needed that to take the Ravens out of their game. And look at those third down throws. He was absolutely pinpoint. You hardly ever see a Bears quarterback of that exact. And the point is, they only scored 17 points, but he was good at the right time. And he did exactly what he needed to do because the Ravens totally crumbled. Their offensive game plan, it wasn't just that they didn't play well. Their offensive game plan just totally fell apart because the Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes were good when they had to be. That's what a quarterback needs to do. And it's very rare. It's unlikely that Caleb Williams will ever be what Patrick Mahomes is now, but he has a better chance to be close to that than what Justin Fields is at this point in time.
Who do you blame for the offensive issues last year? Because what I find interesting, Mark, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Luke Getsy's getting interviews, which I'm candidly surprised about. He has a couple of interviews. He had one with the Raiders, had one with the Patriots. I think he has one with the Saints lined up as well. So the NFL clearly does not think that Luke Getsy was fully the issue here in Chicago. So what went wrong last year for the Bears offensively?
I'll say the same thing I always say whenever there's a choice. It's both. It was the quarterback, it was the offense, and it was the offensive coordinator. Luke Getsy did some good things. The Bears, they led the league in rushing without Justin Fields rushing for 1,000 yards. I think I figured it out. If you take out the quarterback of every team, the Bears running backs were 10th in the NFL in rushing. That's pretty good. And so he did have that. Their passing game was not good. It was not good in the fourth quarter. Both quarterbacks were noticeably really good in the first three quarters and bad in the fourth quarter. But they were still good in the first three quarters. So what I'm saying is Luke Getsy has some good qualities. There are reasons to like him. And there's always going to be a faction. There are always going to be people that look at what the Bears did, people who know more about football than you and I, or certainly me, and know that it wasn't totally the offensive that he had a tough quarterback to work with as far as doing some of the things he wanted to do. So again, my answer is both. I think both were at fault, and I think both have a chance to do better in different environments. And I would, if you asked me, I think I was asked this before earlier in the season. I think Fields has the higher ceiling without Getsy than Getsy does without Fields. I think. Because I think Fields is pretty good if you give him enough of a bubble of support. I think his skills are so good that, like I said, he can win an MVP. He can beat Cam Newton for a year, and he can take a team and win the Super Bowl if he's in the right environment. It was just not going to happen in Chicago because Chicago is just not a place where they do very well in offense. Their standing on offense has been, in general, been very poor.
What do you think that right environment would be?
For Justin Fields?
For Justin Fields.
Well, he needs an offensive line that has been together for a while and stays together and starts, 14, 15, 16, 17 games together. He needs weapons. He needs guys who can get open. He needs an offensive coordinator who can design schemes that get guys open off the line of scrimmage. He needs a lot of things in his favor. And but when he has that, he's twice what Trubisky is. As far as, Trubisky also was good when when the wind was at his back. Trubisky, look at his numbers in some of those games against not just the Lions, but some of those other games. He's got some pretty good games. He was pretty good when the wind was at his back. I'm saying Justin Fields with the same kind of wind at his back for more than one or two games at a time can be that much better. I think that's pretty clear when you see how good he is. I just think he needs the Bears need more.
Mark Potash here with us on Sports Talk Chicago, Bears beat writer for the Chicago Sun-Times, 30-plus year sports media veteran. Mark, Shane Waldron is the new offensive coordinator for Chicago. He's replaced Luke Getsy. What do you think this offense is going to look like with him at the helm?
I think it's hard to tell. I think because we don't know who the quarterback is going to be. The Bears like to be a running team, a run first team. But I think Shane Waldron's offenses are often pass first, or you rely on a lot of passing. So I don't know how that is going to work out with whoever the quarterback is. I'll be honest, I stay away from a lot of this stuff in the offseason because I just don't know. I think it's too hard to predict what one guy will do what he do here, what he's done somewhere else. All I really know about Shane Waldron is he's got the Sean McVay seal of approval. He's been hired by Belichick. He's been hired by good people, Pete Carroll. So I go by that. And as long as they have that and they have proven something, not just like, don't mean to pick on Matt Nagy, but he had the Andy Reid seal of approval and the Andy Reid tree, but he hadn't proven anything. Shane Waldron at least has called plays. Okay. He's run an offense that, had problems against good teams, but was still good and got them to the playoffs. So I think that's good, but I'll be honest, I could not give you a detailed analysis of what I think he's going to do. I think it's tough for even the guys who think they know to do that, to tell you the truth, because I think, like I always say, these guys, from players, coaches, they're not as modular as you would like them to think. Like, I always say, like baseball players are moving a guy in from one lineup to another. It's just not the same thing. There's so many different moving parts that you just don't know if what he did in either LA or Seattle, if he's going to be able to, if the situation is going to be right. That's why so many guys, so many good people fail in the NFL.
Did you think it was odd that the Bears technically don't have a quarterback lined up? They kept their head coach and they hired a new offensive coordinator. It seems a little bit weird to me from the outside. Yeah,
no, I think that is a problem. I think that's not I think it's a problem you can overcome if you get the right quarterback and you get the right combination. But yeah, that's going to, we saw that coming a mile away when they decided to keep Matt Eberflus. I can't blame them for doing that. I think it would have been a huge jump for them to go. So even if it wasn't going to be Jim Harbaugh, who would have wanted, obviously, who would have taken some of Ryan Pohl's authority away. That was a long shot. I wish they would have done that, frankly. I think it would have been great for Chicago, and I think great for the Bears, and had the chance you have to take. But even if it wasn't him, I think they should have. It would have been better, I think, or it would have been good if they could have lined everything up. But they never seem to do that. They hire the GM, and when they've already done the coaching search, and then they hire the GM when the coach is in, and then too many inherited things in an organization that just isn't really good at meshing things together. I mean, even when they think they have, look at one of the times they really thought they had things together was when Phil Emery and Mark Trestman were like, I think that was a Criminal Minds thing, wasn't it? The big, maybe that was what I can't remember. But those two guys were like two, birds of a feather, right? Well, that worked for about 4 games. The Bears were 3-0, 4-0 the first year, and second in the league in scoring the first year, and then it just fell apart. So even when it looks like there's chemistry, the Bears have not had it. So it's the same old thing. I mean, I can't say that it's not going to happen. It's just hard to predict given the Bears history. But I think it is a problem because you can see it. If the Bears stumble next year, and then they're going to have potentially a first-year quarterback with a new head coach, and then you're at the same thing all over again. And then what if they change the GM? Then you get the same, So the Bears just never seem to get it right, or at least like Houston did with new coach, new coordinator, new quarterback, and look what happened. they just but again, not to give you too long of an answer here. I apologize for that, but I still think it can come together. That a lot of things are happenstance. Success is and failure are both circumstantial in the NFL. And the Bears can catch lightning in a bottle, and maybe I shouldn't say that because that makes it seem like it's like a 1 in a million chance. But the Bears can make it work if you get just like Houston. I mean, Houston, despite what people are trying to tell you that was a totally different situation. No, Houston, except for Laramie Tunsil, was pretty much the Chicago Bears when they made their big run this year, and now look like they're going to be, they're in good shape. So it can happen. I guess what I'm saying is, even though it hasn't happened here, it can happen here. And if it's going to, this would be the year when you've got the number one pick. You've got a defense that is pretty much set and should get better. You've got an offensive line that has at least two anchors, if you include Jenkins and Wright, and I think a pretty good building block to be good. It can happen here, and I don't think it's just pie in the sky. I think this, like I said before about non-playoff years and the optimism. I think you don't expect it, but you can at least hope. I think you can legitimately hope for it, no matter what they do in the draft or with quarterback. I think they're at least worthy of having some of being positive about the Bears. Let's put it that way.
You mentioned Jim Harbaugh. What was your reaction when Ryan Poles said he didn't even give him a call?
Well, it was just, it didn't surprise me. That's kind of the way the Bears do business. That was asking a lot, I'll be honest. That was, to do something that I just felt like, I'll be honest, just the answer that he's the coach at Michigan, that was a little, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because it didn't acknowledge the reality that he was an available coach, and he was just giving me GM speak. And I don't know. I really like Poles. I think he's really good, but him relying on that makes something in the back of my head makes me think that, people who come to Hallis Hall, good people, become like the worst version of themselves. And that was kind of a sign that, wow, Hallis Hall groupthink is kind of seeping into his head, that he wouldn't even acknowledge the reality that Harbaugh was available, to say that, well, he's the coach at Michigan. Well, that didn't stop the Chargers, So anyway, that and a couple other things that were said, even Kevin Warren going into putting on his lawyer hat when he was asked about the Alan Williams situation, and Ryan Poles talking about what a great how well that Matt Eberflus kind of handled the adversity that he himself got himself into. Those are kind of 2 or 3, 4 examples of Hallis Hall becoming people becoming a part of Hallis Hall, and kind of the same old thing. So I don't think it's going to be. I think I'm kind of nitpicking a little bit, but I can't help but think about those 2 or 3 things I just mentioned and saying, wow, it's kind of business as usual at Hallis Hall. I'd be a little concerned about that, but I will say this: I'm not putting Ryan Poles down. I think he's really good, and I think he made a great deal for the number one pick, and I think he put himself in a really good position. He was fortunate, but I think he did that, and I think overall, when you add up right now the first 2 years of his ledger as far as acquisitions, he's had some misses, but his hits have been pretty good, and I think he has a lot of potential to grow into the job. But I guess what I'm saying is that press conference, there were 2 or 3 red flags that I'm sticking in the back of my head for the future, when if things, as they sometimes do or often do at Hallis Hall, go awry.
Often. That's the word right there. Not sometimes, often. You're 100% right.